Hello and welcome to Homework 6.01. This is all about writing the equations of lines. So Unit 5 was all about taking an equation and making a graph. Now we're sort of going in the opposite direction and coming up with the equation. So in this first homework we're using the equation y equals mx plus b. So that means to do each of these problems we're going to need an m, which is our slope, and we're going to need a b, which is our y-intercept. Okay? So that's kind of what we're looking for in each of these problems so that we can put our equation together. So if I look at this first line here, it crosses the y-axis at 3. So that is my y-intercept. And then for slope, the important thing to remember is that slope is rise over run. So when I look at my line here, I'm going to go left to right, just as if I were reading a book. And when I go left to right, I'm going up 3 and over 1. So my rise over my run would be 3 over 1, which I could also just write as 3. So now that I have my m and the b, it's just a matter of plugging them in. So it's y equals mx, but instead of an m, I'm going to put my 3. There's my x plus b, but again, instead of putting my b, I'm going to put the number 3, and that would be my final equation. So in this case, the m and the b happen to be the same, but that's not always going to happen. All right, so let's take a look at the second one here. We've got another line. We're going to need an m, and we're going to need a b. So if I look right here, my b is crossing the y-axis right at the origin, which means the b is actually going to be a 0. And then when I do my slope, again, left to right, notice my rise this time is actually a fall. So I'm not going up 4, I'm going down 4, which means it's going to be a negative 4 because I'm going down 4, and then I'm going over 2, so that's going to be just a positive 2 there. So negative 4 over 2, which I could also just write as negative 2. So I now go and I plug these in. Y equals the negative 2 goes in for the m, and then the 0 goes in for the b. So I could write this as negative 2x plus 0, but usually you would just see this as y equals negative 2x. You really wouldn't write the 0 most times. Okay, so let's go to this next one here. Alright, so again, m and b, that's what we're looking for on all of these. The b is going to be down 1, so that's a negative 1, so my b is negative 1. And then for the slope, again, left to right, I'm going up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So up 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be a 3 over 6, which also reduces down to 1/2. Now, just so you're clear, it doesn't matter like which 2 points I picked. I could have done this to this, I could have done this to this, or on this one I could actually see that, you know, it's actually crossing the grids right here and right here, and then I only would have needed to go up 1 over 2. So again, you can pick any points that you want, just make sure you're picking ones that kind of are right here where they kind of cross on one of the cross marks there. Alright, so I've got my m, I've got my b, so now I just bring them down here. Y equals 1/2 x, because that's my m, plus a negative 1, but another way of writing plus negative 1 is just minus 1. So get that there. Alright, last one on the front here. Again, m and b. Our b is down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that would be a negative 5. Alright, negative 5 right there. And then our m, again, left to right, like I'm reading a book, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1. So because I was going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's going to be a negative 5 over just 1. So I've got negative 5 over 1, which again I could just write as negative 5. So when I'm bringing it down here, it's just going to be y equals negative 5x minus 5. All right, y equals negative 5x minus 5. Okay, so that's how we kind of do these when we have a graph and we're trying to come up with the equation. Let's take a look at the back because the back's a little different. All right. The back says, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that is parallel to the line and has a y-intercept of negative 9. So it's parallel to the line y equals 6x minus 1 and has a y-intercept of negative 9. So we still need our m and our b. It's just we're getting them in slightly different ways. All right, and here's what you have to remember. When lines are parallel, they have the same slope. Okay, so when they're parallel, they have the same slope. So if we look at this problem right here, it says find a line that is parallel to this line. Well, this line's slope is 6, and I know it's 6 because that's the number next to the x, which means my new line is also going to have a slope of 6. And then it tells me the y-intercept is negative 9, so my b is negative 9. And now I can just plug these both in to our y equals mx plus b formula. So it's going to just be y equals 6x minus 9. Okay, so let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 says write the equation of a line in y equals mx plus b form that is parallel to the line 3y equals 9x plus 15 and has a y-intercept of 4. So again, on all of these, I need my m and my b. The y-intercept of 4, so they gave me the b. Now, I've got to figure out my slope. They're telling me it's parallel, which means they're going to have the same slope. Unfortunately, I don't know the slope of this line yet. And the reason I don't know the slope of this line yet is because the y is not by itself. So before I know the slope, I have to get the y by itself. So I'm going to divide by 3 so that these cancel out. And then I'm left with y equals 3x plus 5. And now I know the slope of this line. It's this 3 right here because it's next to the x. So since this line has a slope of 3, my new line over here is also going to have a slope of 3. And then I just plug them in. So it's going to be y equals 3x plus 4. Okay, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that is perpendicular to the line 3 minus 8y equals negative 4x and has a y-intercept of negative 1. All right, so perpendicular is a little different. When lines are parallel, they have the same slope. When they're perpendicular, they have what are called negative reciprocals. So let's talk about what a negative reciprocal is. So if I have 1/2, the negative reciprocal of that would be negative 2 over 1. If I had, let's say, negative 4/3, the negative reciprocal of that would be positive 3 over 4. So the way I like to think about it is flip, flip. You're going to flip the fraction and you're going to flip the sign. All right, so the fraction, whatever's on top ends up on the bottom, whatever's on the bottom ends up on the top, and then positives become negatives or negatives become positives. So flip, flip. You flip the fraction, you flip the sign. So let's get back to our problem here. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that is perpendicular to 3 minus 8y equals negative 4x and has a y-intercept of negative 1. All right, so we still need the same information. It's just going to be a little harder to get now. So the b is negative 1. Now the slope, well, problem is right now I don't know the slope of this line. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is get the y by itself. So let's rewrite this over here. Okay, I'm getting the y by itself, which means I need to get rid of this 3 here, and I need to get rid of this negative 8. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Those will cancel out. negative 8y equals negative 4x minus 3. Now I need to get rid of this negative 8, so I'm going to divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8, divide by negative 8. Y equals, here I have a negative divided by a negative, so that's actually going to become a positive 1/2 x. Here I have a negative divided by a negative, so that's going to become positive 3/8. Now, here's the mistake a lot of kids make. They just say, oh, my slope is 1/2. That would be true if it was parallel, but this is perpendicular. So what we have to remember is to flip. So the 1/2 is going to become 2/1. And because this number was positive, our new number is going to be negative. So that's negative 2/1, which we could also just write as negative 2. So now that we have both of these things, it's just y equals negative 2x minus 1. There's my m, there's my b. Alright, so let's try another one of these now that we know how to do them. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form that is perpendicular, so that means we're going to have to flip to the line 30 minus 5y equals 10x and has a y-intercept of 0. Alright, so again, we need our m, we need our b. The b they gave us, that's 0. Now let's see if we can figure out our m. So I'm going to take this 30 minus 5y equals 10x. I do not know the slope yet because the y is not by itself, so my first step is to get the y by itself. Subtract 30 from both sides. Negative 5y equals 10x minus 30. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. And this is going to be y equals negative 2x, negative divided by negative, plus 6. So this slope is negative 2. When I bring it up here and I flip it, you might be saying, well, how do I flip just to 2? Well, negative 2 is really negative 2/1. Alright, so negative 2 is really negative 2/1. So when I flip this, 2/1 is going to become 1/2. And then because this was negative, our new slope is going to be positive. So we're just going to end up with a positive 1/2 there. We've got our two pieces. So it's y equals 1/2 x plus 0. But again, usually we wouldn't write the plus 0, so you can just write it as y equals 1/2 x. All right, that's it for today. I hope this was helpful.